You're watching Story Scroll. Real stories, raw emotions, and endings you'll never forget. Let's scroll into today's tale.
Original post. My wife and kids humiliated me on our marriage anniversary. I don't know if I'm overreacting anymore. I never thought I'd be the kind of person posting on Reddit about my marriage. But here I am, lying awake in the guest room at 3 a.m., replaying the same evening over and over in my head. My wife and I have been married for a little over 17 years. We have 2 kids, both teenagers. From the outside, we look like one of those perfect families people quietly envy. Big house and a nice neighborhood, private schools, yearly vacations, nice cars, and a lifestyle that looks effortless. What people don't see is that I've slowly become invisible inside my own home. I work in a low-key but very stable field. I don't flash titles or brag about money. I'm not the loud, dominant personality my wife seems to admire. My income has always been consistent, more than enough to comfortably support our family. Everything we have, the house, the cars, the kids' education, the vacations, my wife's ability to stay home and curate her perfect life, exists because of my work. My wife hasn't worked since our first child was born. She's very active on social media. Perfect photos, inspirational captions, brunches with friends, gym selfies, shopping hauls. People constantly comment about how lucky she is and how amazing our life looks. At home, she's different. She's sarcastic, dismissive, and has developed a habit of making little digs at me. Comments about how I dress, how I don't command a room, how I'm boring. She laughs it off as humor, but it's constant. Over the years, I learned to stay quiet. I thought keeping a peace mattered more than my ego. Unfortunately, my kids picked up on her behavior. They're not bad kids, but they're entitled. They roll their eyes when I talk, mock my clothes, complain that I'm embarrassing. I tell myself it's just teenage behavior, but deep down, it hurts more than I've ever admitted. Now to the anniversary. This year was our 17th anniversary, and despite everything, I was genuinely excited. I planned weeks in advance. I made reservations at a nice restaurant. I bought my wife a thoughtful gift, not flashy, but meaningful, something tied to a memory from when we were younger and actually happy. I even wrote a short speech. Nothing dramatic, just a few heartfelt words. I thought maybe this could be a reset. My wife insisted on inviting friends and some extended family. I hesitated. I wanted it to be just us, but she said I was being antisocial and that it would be more fun with people around. I gave in, like I usually do. At first, the dinner was fine. Drinks were poured, food arrived, everyone was laughing. Then it started. My wife made a joke about how she's basically a single mom because I'm always working. Everyone laughed. Then she added, "Honestly, he wouldn't survive without me handling everything." More laughter. I smiled weakly, hoping it would stop. It didn't. She joked about how at least I pay the bills. Our romance isn't really my thing. How she had to raise me along with the kids. Each comment got louder laughs. I could feel my face getting warm, but I stayed quiet. Then my kids joined in. My son laughed and said I'm boring. My daughter rolled her eyes and said I dress like an old man. Someone asked what I do for fun, and before I could answer, my wife said, "He doesn't really have hobbies, he just works." The table erupted in laughter. I sat there, holding my glass, realizing that I wasn't a husband or a father in that moment. I was the joke. I tried to lightly change the subject, but my wife waved it off and said, "Relax, it's just a joke. You're so sensitive." At one point, I glanced at the gift I had brought, still wrapped, sitting beside my chair. I didn't give it to her. I couldn't bring myself to stand up and make the speech I had written. The words felt stupid now. Near the end of the dinner, someone toasted us and asked if I had anything to say. The room quieted. Everyone looked at me, smiling, waiting. I don't know what came over me, but I stood up anyway. I didn't give the speech. I just said, calmly, "I hope everyone enjoyed tonight. Things change faster than people think, and I guess anniversaries have a way of showing you where you really stand." There was an awkward silence. My wife laughed it off and said I was being dramatic. The night ended shortly after. At home, she was annoyed with me for killing the vibe. She said I embarrassed her by being moody and that I need to learn to take a joke. The kids avoided eye contact. I grabbed a pillow and went to the guest room without saying another word. Now I'm lying here, realizing something that scares me more than anger ever could. My family doesn't respect me. Not my wife, not my kids. I don't yell, I don't control, I don't demand. I thought being steady and supportive was enough. Tonight made me feel like I've been reduced to a wallet with a pulse. So, Reddit, I need to ask, am I overreacting? Or is this something much deeper that I've been ignoring for far too long? Update 1. Things are starting to unravel. They had no idea how close they were to losing everything. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Reading your messages, advice, and experiences made me realize I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. The overwhelming consensus was clear. I've been invisible for years, and that needs to change. I've been thinking a lot about the anniversary dinner, the jokes, the laughter at my expense, the way my kids joined in. And after reading your comments, I realized something important. This wasn't the first time. My wife has been undermining me, publicly and privately, for years, and I've allowed it. I've been so focused on providing, on keeping everything perfect, that I stopped protecting myself emotionally. I didn't want conflict, I wanted peace. But peace at the cost of self-respect isn't peace at all. So I need to be honest about something I've never shared with them. Not even in a fight, not even in passing. They don't actually know the truth about our finances. Everything they think they own, the house, the cars, the private school tuition, the vacations, even the savings they think are theirs, is technically under my control. Not in a sneaky, manipulative way, but through proper legal structures, trusts, and accounts that I manage. My wife has no savings, no income, no legal claim to certain assets. She assumes because she's been at home, managing the house and raising the kids, she has access to everything. And honestly, she's always acted like she does. I didn't reveal this because I never wanted to hurt them. I thought providing everything I could meant love was enough. But after tonight, after the jokes, after the humiliation, I realized love without respect is meaningless. And then it happened. A few days after my post, my wife crossed the line, again, in front of the kids. This time, she didn't just mock me, she threatened divorce. She said she'd take everything because she's the one who keeps the family together. I felt my chest tighten. For the first time in years, I didn't stay quiet. I didn't yell, I didn't curse, I just said calmly, "You should talk to a lawyer before you say that." You could feel the tension drop into the room like lead. My kids froze, my wife blinked, and then the chaos began. She immediately contacted a lawyer. It didn't take long for reality to hit her like a brick wall. The lawyer explained that she doesn't have the legal claim she thought she did. Certain assets are untouchable. Certain accounts aren't hers. She cannot simply take everything. I watched her face go pale, the first time I've seen her genuinely shocked. The house payments, tuition, even some of the luxury cards she was using freely were paused or frozen overnight. No more extravagant dinners out, no more shopping sprees, no more pretending she controlled everything. My kids were livid. They accused me of being selfish, of ruining their future, of taking away everything they thought they had coming to them. I didn't argue. I just let them feel it. My wife tried everything, crying, love bombing, blaming stress, claiming she was overwhelmed and that she didn't deserve this. But none of it softened me. For the first time, I realized I have to stop being invisible. I have to reclaim my own life. That night, I moved into a separate bedroom. Just me, my thoughts, and the realization that divorce is now a real possibility. I still love my kids. I still want them in my life. But I also know now that love without respect from my spouse or my children is a trap. My wife has since been begging for counseling. She says she wants to fix things. She says she's sorry, but I'm not rushing back. I've been invisible for too long. I need time to figure out what kind of husband, father, and man I want to be moving forward. Reddit, I've spent years providing a life for my family that I thought would earn their respect and love. But I've learned that nothing I provide matters if they don't actually respect me. I'm beginning to understand that sometimes silence and patience aren't virtues, they're weaknesses people exploit. I don't know where this is headed yet. Divorce might happen. Counseling might work. But one thing is clear. I will not be the punchline anymore. Final update. The luxury life they took for granted is gone, and I've finally found peace. It's been a few months since everything started to unravel, and I wanted to give an update because honestly, I never expected things to turn out this way. After my last post, the tension at home didn't immediately disappear. My wife tried counseling. The kids were still angry, and I spent countless nights debating whether I was making the right decisions. But over time, the truth about our finances and about my own self-worth became unavoidable. The divorce process was finalized sooner than I expected, because I had organized everything carefully. Assets, trusts, accounts. The split was based on legal reality, not perceived entitlement. My wife was forced to downsize, move out of our family home, sell a few luxury cars, and get a job to support herself. For someone who had never had to manage her own finances, it was a rude awakening. The kids also had to face reality. Tuition for their private schools was paused temporarily, vacations were canceled, and the credit cards they were used to spending freely were no longer available. I won't lie, it was messy. One of them apologized sincerely after seeing how stressed their mom was and realizing they'd relied on me taking everything for granted. The other remains bitter, blaming me for ruining everything. But I've learned that I can't control their feelings, only my actions and boundaries. I made it clear, love without respect isn't love. I've thought a lot about that fateful anniversary night, the night I was publicly humiliated. At the time, I felt invisible, crushed, and powerless. Now I see it differently. That humiliation was the catalyst. It forced me to acknowledge a truth I'd been avoiding for years. My silence had been mistaken for weakness. That night reminded me that respect isn't given, it's earned, and it must be mutual. Before everything ended, my wife made one final attempt to reconcile. She admitted, quietly, that she had lost respect for me because I never fought back and always kept my head down. I didn't argue or defend myself. I just said calmly, "Love without respect isn't love." She didn't respond, but I think she understood. Life now feels surreal in a good way. I live peacefully, focusing on my hobbies and reconnecting with interests I'd long neglected. I travel occasionally, sometimes alone, sometimes with friends. For the first time in years, I do things for me, without worrying about someone else's opinion or approval. Therapy helped me process years of being overlooked and undervalued, and I feel stronger and more grounded than ever. I want to thank everyone who offered advice and shared their experiences on my original post. Reading your words gave me the courage to see my own value and to finally stand up for myself. The lesson I've learned and want to leave for anyone reading this is simple. People who laugh at you in public don't deserve you in private. Respect is everything. Without it, love, loyalty, or family are meaningless. They mocked me for being quiet. They never realized I was the one holding everything together. Now that they see the truth, I don't feel anger, I feel freedom. And for the first time in a long time, I feel truly seen by myself.
Thanks for watching Story Scroll. Hit that bell and stay tuned for the next story that will move your heart.